In Odessa, I met the mother of a 15-year-old girl who was shot by an AR-15, and that mother watched her bleed to death over the course of an hour because so many other people were shot by that AR-15 in Odessa and Midland. There weren't enough ambulances to get to them in time. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
That was one of the biggest applause lines at the third Democratic debate because Democratic voters are all in agreement on the topic of assault weapons. Republicans less so, which is why Trump tweeted this today. Dummy Beto made it much harder to make a deal, convinced many that Dems just want to take your guns away, will continue forward. Whatever that means. And he's quoting a Jesse Waters Fox News segment on this because, of course, a segment that went as follows.
The Democrats have always wanted to take your guns. It's just, Beto was this one stupid enough to say it. You guys have always wanted to chip away at the Second Amendment, and Beto came along with a chainsaw and said, let's go. And you guys usually win elections when you're moderate, not when you act like madmen. There's no chance now, legislatively, you're going to get anything done when someone like Beto comes out and says this. And now gun-toting Americans don't trust Democrats, and they didn't trust them on guns very much to begin with.
Well, luckily, Beto O'Rourke is running in a Democratic primary and not a Republican one, so he doesn't have to worry about catering to the rabid GOP base that is so insecure in their masculinity that they need big bad guns to make them feel like men, and that's culturally baked in all of this. Secondly, Waters is saying Democrats win when they're moderate. Now, that's deliberately disingenuous. Like, you saw what happened with Hillary in 2016, dude, so you know that, you witnessed it, you were there, I'm pretty sure, unless you have selective memory, or you're just trying to paint Hillary Clinton as some type of socialist, which is hilarious. And thirdly, yeah, Democrats have become extreme on this issue because the violence in this country as a result of guns is extreme, and it's just getting worse. 20% of the 164 cases of mass shootings since 1966 occurred in the last 5 years. More than half of the shootings have occurred since 2000 and 33% since 2010. The deadliest years yet were 2017 and 2018, and this year is shaping up to rival them, with at least 60 killed in mass shootings, 38 of them in the 5 weeks before September 1st, 2019. That's when this article was written. So, bold action is necessary. Now, there is one thing, though, that I do agree with Waters on, which may surprise some people. So, a gun buyback program, that's not a politically savvy thing to do outside of a Democratic primary. It's not a popular proposal, even though I do agree with it. Like, I wouldn't run my campaign on abolishing the death penalty, even though I agree with it, because that's not a popular proposal either. So, literally every common sense gun reform bill polls extremely well with even Republicans, like banning assault weapons, like universal background checks, etc., except gun buybacks. So the assault weapons ban, run on that, very popular. A Monmouth University survey found that 56% approve of a ban on assault rifles and semi-automatic weapons, while 38% oppose it. I've seen polls that are even higher than that. Pollsters also found that 53% disagree with implementing a mandatory buyback program for assault weapons owned by private citizens, compared to 43% who support it. Now, this has been successful in Australia, different countries. I get it. This is a personal issue for O'Rourke because of what happened in his state. I admire his courage, in a way, to say what you think is right, and I do believe it's right if we're talking about morality, even though it's not politically popular. But if he does want a fighting chance in this primary, he also has to bolster those bold ideas on gun reform with economic populism. Bold tax regulation policy, trade policy, pro-worker policy, and he's just not doing that. So he's equivocating on Medicare for all, among other things, and he's just hinging his candidacy on a politically unpopular issue that would be a really bad idea in the general election to run on. So that's my more controversial take on it. And I think it wouldn't be as much of a problem if O'Rourke had different bold ideas, but this being his one bold idea, people aren't going to be signing up for that or going to the polls for that in the general election. Luckily, he's not going to win the nomination. but I'm just saying there's a tiny kernel of truth in the Jesse Waters segment. Oh, God, those words barely came out of my mouth without me vomiting.